Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on ACEcast Nation. I'm your co-host Si, and I'm joined by ex-championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, mate. Great to have you on board in the
pleasure,
yeah, it's going to be good stuff, mate. Good to have the championship back, as we discussed there last week. So basically, if you're a gambler, go back to mine and Andy's preview show last week. Everyone who we said was, going to win or going to be too strong for everyone else, go back, put your money on the teams we said are going to get relegated or be terrible, and you'll probably be quite rich. It's pretty much everyone who we said was going to be good was bad, and everyone who said it was bad was good. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. This is a brand new show where we're going to just discuss the latest results, news, goings on in the Sky Bet Championship. All our shows and series are available in video format at youtube.com/ACEpodcastNation. Audio, all the usual podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio app, and a few others as well. Here at the channel, we've got series and shows on all sorts of subjects. We've got shows and guests on football, mental health, serial killers, films and TV, conspiracy theories, wrestling, music, and loads of other stuff. We've also got a series entitled Mental Health in Sport, where we speak to people from professional sporting world, discuss the pressures on professional athletes, young athletes just starting out, and also athletes who are retiring, whether it's enforced or just through age. We also spoke to a sports psychiatrist or performance psychiatrist, and we also launched a new series which it's been really uncomfortable for me to film. It's called Unscripted and Uncensored, but basically everybody else sends in the questions and subjects and I just list them in front of me. So instead of having questions to ask guests, I've just got topics. And my first guest was Rodri Giggs, so you can imagine some of the stuff which people sent in. It was good though. He's a real top lad, and he was like an open book. He was happy to talk about everything. We discussed the Paddy Power advert and all the stuff beyond that. We talked about football, music, all sorts. I've recorded a show with former MMA world champion Lee Remedios, and also the owner and founder of Away Day Apparel. So there's a few more of those shows to come, and hopefully got some more coming up as well of those, because they're a lot of fun. They were just like the one with the MMA guy Lee. People sent, because he's quite opinionated on politics and all sorts. People sent in some stuff which I said I wasn't going to talk about when I started the podcast, and they just sent in loads of questions. So that was interesting. So if you want to watch me basically squirm and be really uncomfortable for about an hour, that's going to be the show for you. So all the usual plugs out of the way. You can send us any feedback, comments, suggestions, facebook.com/ACEcastNation and Twitter @ACEcast_nation. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the nitty gritty. So I've got them down in order, the games, as they were on the championship show, just because that's how I took my notes. So first game up was Barnsley 1, Fulham 0. And of course, me and Andy said Fulham will be right up there, bang up there, and they probably still will be, but they're going to be too strong. They got a Premier League squad. And Barnsley, I thought Barnsley were excellent. They were really, really good. They had enough chances.
We did speak about this, though, didn't we? We spoke about how many clean sheets they kept in League One. We spoke about their home form being massive to try and keep them in the Championship, and to be fair, they delivered with both of those. And you know what I mean. And Fulham probably did turn up thinking that team from League One, we were a Premier League team, and we said that the Championship doesn't owe anybody anything. And I think that's what's proved to Scott Parker. You know what I mean? The rumours I'm reading today as well, that Scott Parker's gone out and he's got Harry Arter on loan for the rest of the season, which is a great sign. It'll obviously upset a lot of Cardiff fans, because I thought he was outstanding last season, and for him to drop out the Premier League to sign for Fulham is is an unbelievable signing for them, and it's a real coup. And you know what I mean. It shows how serious that they're taking this championship. And you know what I mean. All right, they got beat on Saturday, but I do believe that they will be up there and certainly challenging for the title, because they've just the squad's getting better, and to have someone like him is outstanding.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed by that, because I was hoping that he would stay at Cardiff, and then it seemed like he didn't want to drop in to the
Yeah, but
championship.
that's what I thought. I thought the only reason he's gone back is because they got relegated, and
Because
that's not true.
he seemed to be happy down here.
Yeah.
I know that initially he wasn't too keen on coming down to Wales, but actually when he got down here, as you know, Cardiff's a lovely city, and it's easy to settle and fall in love with the city. You know, easy for me to say as someone who's lived there all my life.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know what I mean? It shows how happy he was on the pitch, because he pulled performance after performance. You know what I mean? He grabbed the team by the scruff of the neck at times, and helped obviously Joe Rawls in midfield, and pulled everybody else along. And it's such a shame that he didn't stay. You know what I mean? But I respected his decision, because he wanted to stay in the Premier League, and obviously maybe nothing's come available for him, and he needs to play football. You know what I mean? Which also shows the commitment of the boy, because you know what I mean. He wants to go and play football, and if he's got to drop down to make a step back up, he's looked at the Championship and went, who's the best chance or best team to go back up, and he sees it as Fulham, and you know what I mean. Hopefully he's a little bit wrong, because we've got a couple of other teams which we all I want to do well, you want to do well, but there's. You know what I mean? I do believe he'll be up there. He'll be up there come May, 100%.
Yeah, on paper, Fulham should be there or thereabouts, and he's certainly a good signing for them. I think I got to say, by the way, Scott Parker looking the same as he did 15 years ago. It's like, but it reminds me of Solskjaer. Just hasn't changed a bit.
No, he probably looks younger. He looks younger
face, doesn't he?
As a player, which is, I don't know how that works out.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So sorry, mate. Like I was just going to say, though, I thought Barnsley were excellent. They had enough chances to win by a few more, actually.
Yeah.
The boy on the left, Wilkes, I thought he looked really good, really dangerous, quick, skillful player. So he's someone I'll be looking at over the season, certainly. Luke Thomas up front looks like he'll get him, 10, 15 goals.
Yeah,
like you just said, and like we talked about last week. Their home form is unbelievable, and Stendhal as a coach, he hasn't lost a home for Barnsley yet, and they've taken 25 clean sheets from 45.
Yeah, clean sheets are massive, and for Thomas to score on his, you know what I mean, on his first game in the Championship, you know what I mean. It happened at Luton as well. You know what I mean. It's big for these players, because they need the confidence straight away, because people are doubting them, and they're probably doubting themselves if can they do it in the division higher. And you know what I mean? There's probably there's not as big difference as people think from League One to the Championship. You know what I mean? And it's a strong league, course it is very competitive, but League One at the top of League One's probably just as competitive. You know what I mean? When you're playing week in, week out with that kind of level, and I think Barnsley and the other two sides who came up, who we'll talk about soon, they also pulled in some excellent performances and results.
Yeah. So tell me, like I used to play midfield. I did more than I used to play up front a little bit, but obviously you played at the top level. When you go into a new club, if you don't get that first goal quite quickly in the first couple of games, does it play on your mind a bit, and can it affect your confidence quite quickly?
100%, because I think you're under pressure from either the previous season because you've played well, you've scored goals, or you're coming to a new team. And the fans are expecting, because you're the number 9 or the number 10 or the number 8 or whatever it may be, and I just think it's just a huge weight off your shoulder to get that first goal. He's under no pressure now come next Saturday to score a goal. If he scores another goal, brilliant. His confidence will be booming. But if he doesn't score, you know what I mean, he'll go back again the following week or the following Tuesday at home and ground himself again and start working hard and you know what I mean. He'll be bouncing this week. He'll have gone into training this morning and he'll be absolutely buzzing. You know what I mean. The players will have been delighted with the 3 points. And he's got himself the winning goal, and he's a hero because he's you know what I mean. He's scored the winning goal in the first half.
Yeah, and not just like the strikers needing to score. The teams coming up from the lower division that first win is vital to get that bit of confidence and be able to say as a unit, yes, we can compete, we can win games at this level, whether it's the Championship or going into the Premier League. I think it is vital. How many times in the Premier League do you see teams have won a game at like Christmas time? They've picked up a couple of draws, and it's very difficult for them to get back and get a run of games going because they're still searching for that, first away win or first win. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
obviously,
they've got to hit the ground running, because if they have a slow start, you know what I mean, then January all of a sudden comes really thick and fast, and then, no offense, but who's going to go and want to sign for a club who's in the bottom three of the Championship, who's going to struggle? You know what I mean? You look after yourself. It's the same as the Premier League teams. Last year, Huddersfield struggled because no one was going to sign for them in January because they're already relegated, because it was just an impossibility for them to get out of it. And you know what I mean? They're getting beat again tonight. And it's such a shame for a football club to be in being free for all, because that's just what it seems to be. You know what I mean? And that's what happens with other clubs and especially in the Championship, because no one's got the divine right to do well. You know what I mean? And that's clubs who come up, that's clubs who come down, that's clubs who've been there for 5, 10, 15 years. And you know what I mean? Everyone can beat anyone. We said this at on Thursday night, and it was just such an exciting first game, and Barnsley proved that.
Well, mate, we discussed the importance of momentum, particularly in the Championship, is huge. And just as much as it's important to get that momentum of wins and getting little blocks of like 4 or 5 wins, and then you might lose or draw, and then you try and build that run up again. I think it's the same with teams like Huddersfield. The way they've come down from the Premier League, they really struggled. They lost a lot of games heavily. It's difficult to snap out of that. It's difficult to suddenly start winning, even though you might have a stronger squad than the majority of the league. It's difficult to break that cycle.
Mentally, you've lost before you even get on the pitch. You know what I mean? Because supporters are probably expecting you to carry it on. You look at Man City. Before Man City got famous, they got relegated from the Premier League. They got relegated to the Championship. They're in League One. You know what I mean? And luckily enough for them, they ended up getting promoted on penalties against Gillingham in the playoffs. And if that goes the other way and Gillingham beat them, where would Man City be now? They wouldn't have all these. They wouldn't have the best manager in the world. They wouldn't have the best players in the world. And it's such fine margins. You know what I mean? And
big time.
And that difference between Huddersfield not being in the Premier League, okay, that they're picking up the parachute money, which is good or bad, depends on which way you look at it, but. You know what I mean? The players want to be in the Premier League. They don't want to be scraping about at the bottom of the Championship and looking at League One, because they're far too good for that. You know what I mean? Because regardless of good season or bad season they've had, the professional people and they have pride in their job. And you know what I mean? I know a couple of the Huddersfield players and they'll be hurting from last season. And come tonight, if the result stays the way it is, they'll be absolutely devastated.
Yeah, but it's not the start they're looking for. But there's still a bit of time left, so you never know. So special mention, you say about fine margins, special mention to Randlinger in goal for Barnsley, because I did think he was top draw. And keepers are going to take a bit of a pasting on this show over the next sort of 45 minutes now. So just before we move on to the Wigan game, I suppose we have to talk about that. Cyrus Christie tweeted out after the game that his sister had been racially abused and assaulted by fans from his own club, Fulham, which is not something you want to hear on the any time really, but on the opening day of the season, it's terrible, mate. I think people sometimes forget. Like, obviously, players take a lot of abuse. The majority of it, I think, is from opposing fans, but they do take abuse if their things aren't going well. And it's one thing for you to take abuse if you're not doing well or you're not putting a shift in or whatever it may be, but it's another thing to have family there, particularly if you've got like women and kids, sisters, wives, mothers, and they're being abused and assaulted as well. She was hit, apparently. It must be quite upsetting for the players to feel, because they must feel helpless because they're in their own bubble of playing the game and warm downs and things like this. So then, when he found out that, he must have been furious and rightly upset.
Yeah, I think it's devastating because you know what I mean. He wants his family and friends to watch him play. He wants his sister, who's probably very proud of her brother, to be a professional footballer, to play for his country. You know what I mean? To play for Fulham. You know what I mean? Cyrus was at Middlesbrough, and he really lovely fella. You know, I'm down to earth, genuine man. I'm guessing his sister came to the Riverside to watch loads of games, and why shouldn't you have the right to go to watch a football match, brother or no brother, and feel comfortable, feel safe, and just be there to watch the game? You know what I mean? End of the day, it is just a game. Granted, you know what I mean, they got beaten in the match, and you know what I mean, they didn't obviously play great, and in the heat of the moment, people do say things they probably regret. But to hit a female, you know what I mean, and to assault her and to racially abuse her and to say things to Cyrus as well, it just makes a mockery really of what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? There was other incidences in lower league, and I just think we're in modern football. You know what I mean? These idiots can just stay home for me. I just don't get why they're even coming to football. They're coming to football to cause trouble, and they're just giving football a bad name, because if it's a Fulham fan, if it's a Derby fan, if it's a Barnsley fan, if it's a Middlesbrough fan, Cardiff fan, they're just going to ruin the football clubs. And just stay away, and let us all enjoy the game that we love, and then we can talk about the football instead of talking about a minority of people who just want to ruin it.
Yeah, I find it really frustrating, because I do like hostile football grounds, like I discussed with you last week.
Yeah.
To me, there's a line, and that's, you know, racial abusing or abusing people over their sexuality or what gender, you know, what, anything like that. You know, it's 2019, and you know, these guys, girls, whoever, they need to get over it and get a fucking grip on it. I said I wasn't going to swear. They need to get a grip on their lives, because, you know, like you say, it is just a game. I get that people are passionate and stuff, but there's no place for that.
Well, I just think
not for me at all.
I just think they just need to get a grip of themselves and just understand that that they're there to watch their football team, passionate or not passionate, and to enjoy a game of football. And you know what I mean? There's whatever happens and gets thrown on the pitch to players have a bit of banter about it and throw something back and have a bit of camaraderie with the fans, and I think that's brilliant. But when it's happening in the stands, you know what I mean? There was a lot of trouble at the Community Shield game as well, and I just think, like you say, it's 2019. You know what I mean? We need to stop this and eradicate it and just stamping out football again, because it's creeping back in. It's rife in foreign football, and people like Danny Rose, you know what I mean, he's on about packing in football because of it, and it's just such a shame, because why shouldn't he have a football career until he's 35, 40-year-old, if he wants to do it, if he chooses to do it, and he shouldn't be forced out of the game because some idiots are saying things and making silly chants towards him and to others. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly on this, because obviously, you know, we could do a whole show just on this particular subject. Unfortunately, I do feel like FIFA have got a big part to play in why, you know, not in this particular instance necessarily, but in all the sort of incidents you see with chanting and banana skins and this type of rubbish that you see, particularly in like Italy and Spain and stuff, is because they give such piss poor bans and fines. The countries, the nations, the clubs, they don't take it seriously, so they don't even police themselves. Like a big part of why Cardiff City fans have turned it around from a violence point of view. I never, and I can say hand on heart, even, you know, in the 80s and 90s, I never witnessed any racial abuse at Cardiff ever. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I didn't see. You know, I've seen lots of things going on. You know, with fighting and stuff. Is what it is. But Cardiff have worked very hard to turn that image around for the club. They've won like Family Club of the Year several times over the last 10 years, and a big part of that was fans policing themselves. In that, if people were out of order, they were told they were out of order. But I think because FIFA give these terrible, you know, measly fines, they don't ban teams and nations from tournaments. I do feel like the only way perhaps it's going to come to a head is if nations or clubs say, we're not going to play in the Champions League if you don't do something about this. Or we're not going to play in the Euros. Unfortunately, unless you're Real Madrid, your Liverpools, your Man Uniteds, or your England, or your Italy, Spain, you know, the big countries and clubs which at those tournaments attract viewers.
Yeah.
Unless it's everyone or those particular nations and clubs, I don't think it'll be made difference. Like if Wales said, "Oh, we're not going to play in the Euro qualifiers," they say, "All right," unless it was the whole group.
Yeah.
But I do think FIFA have got a lot to answer for. I've got to say.
Something needs doing, and I don't know the answer to it. You know what I mean? Is it points deduction for you know what I mean? Because you ban supporters from a game, and you're banning 30,000 fans who've been good as gold all season. So they're the ones who are getting punished. You know what I mean? Why should me and you get punished from watching our team when it wasn't us who's done it? You know what I mean?
No.
Then at the same time, you know what I mean? The only way to do it is by someone's got to take the hit sometime. You know what I mean? And I just wouldn't like to see who it was going to be, because it'd be such a shame, because it should have happened a long time ago, because it's now been ingrained into our football, but which, like you say, it needs eradicating, it needs stopping, and we could go on about this forever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not one, it's one we could talk about for like an hour and a bit. So on to the next game. It's Wigan 3, Cardiff 2.
Not like Cardiff at all. You know what I mean? I'll use the word crumble, because you know what I mean. At half time, obviously Joe Ross scored the first goal. Obviously coming from an excellent pre-season, scored the first goal, and quite comfortable at half time. You know what I mean? And obviously things went a little bit downhill when Etheridge went off injured after the penalty miss, and to let 3 goals in quite a short space of time is not like Cardiff City at all. When we spoke about defensively how strong they are and how strong they look like, with obviously bringing Flint in as well, and it was I was shocked, to be fair. You know what I mean? If someone had offered me a draw before the game 1-1, maybe delay equaliser, you know what I mean? We're going to have got some decent players going forward. Josh Windass scored, you know what I mean? And they look pretty dangerous, but I still expected Cardiff to get the result.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. It's my problem as a Cardiff fan is that the problem we've had is we need someone who can score goals. We had the same problem all year. We need a striker who's going to score 20 goals. Now, obviously, everyone's hoping that this Gratzel is going to be that guy. I'm not sold on Bogle. I'm not sold on Medine at all. And Medine started.
He's too pedestrian for me. He's a target mold, and for me, the target man's, for me, is dead. He's dead now. You know what I mean? You could play a young kid up front who's got legs just to run around and cause problems and just feed off scraps, because even the way the Cardiff play, you know what I mean? It's based on getting the ball over the top, getting the ball into good areas. It's not about holding up play anymore. It's not about that. You look at the way Wigan played. Wigan had good movement. You know what I mean? They caused Cardiff a lot of problems, because they start pumping the ball up to Morrison and to Flint. Cardiff would have eaten them up all day, but because they had good movement, balls to feet, balls in good areas, that's when Cardiff struggled and started getting caught out a little bit. And you know what I mean? I'm hoping that some teams do play right into Cardiff's hands and start to play long balls, and Cardiff will just chew that up all day long. But I think in the second half, fair play to Wigan. You know what I mean? They changed things, and the focus on a different way of playing, and they got the rewards, and they scored 3 decent goals. So you know what I mean? It could have been worse, but you know what I mean? Cardiff again scored a decent goal as well, like you say, Bogle. I'm not sure on him. Obviously, the manager had him on loan last year and has brought him back in from a decent pre-season this year. But it's a 46 league game season in the Championship, which is very grueling, and experience counts for a lot. And you know what I mean? The window closes Thursday? Is it week Thursday? This Thursday, and it's just neat for me. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again, dip in the transfer market, because I do believe they need a reinforcement, even if it's on loan or something. Just a bit of experience.
The one thing they lack in defence is pace. Like Morrison got done for pace for the penalty, and obviously it hit the post, and they were lucky. Like for instance, on Saturday with Gratzel not being available, if I was picking a team, I'd have had Bobby Reid up front instead of
that's what I thought he was going to have.
Medine and Bogle, or Bogle, and I would have had Tomlin. I'd have Tomlin playing. Tomlin's in the best shape he's been in for probably 10 years.
Yeah,
and at a Championship level, he's a real creative player.
100%, yeah. He's probably the best number 10 in the Championship on his day. You know what I mean? If he's, we were speaking about Bradley Dack the other day from Blackburn, and Lee Tomlin is on his day is unplayable, and is 10 times a player that Bradley Dack has been so far. You know, Bradley will get a lot better. You know what I mean? Lee's obviously done it and worn the t-shirt, but I'm hoping he gets another opportunity because he can do it in the Championship. I've seen him week in, week out at Middlesbrough. The year that we didn't get promoted in the playoff final, I've seen him at Forest. I've seen him at Cardiff. He's just one of the best Championship players around, and can score goals and create from nothing, and we need that.
Yeah, definitely. They need. Obviously you could only bring so many subs on, and Etheridge going off injured was a big blow. They like the boy Volks. I'd like to see on from the start.
I think he will. Long term, he will. I think it'll probably be him and Joe Rawls. You know what I mean? I know between
hold it. Just those two sit in would be quite good, and then you could have like your Tomlin, Bobby Reid, and then two wide boys.
Yeah.
Either side, and it looks strong on paper. I'm not a fan of Morrison and at the back. Aidan Flint is a big boy.
Yeah.
But I was surprised how quick he is for such a big lad.
When he gets going, he's got legs. He just needs. I think letting three goals in will obviously have an impact on confidence and things. You know what I mean? Because Cardiff have been same as Barnsley, been renowned for the clean sheets. You know, especially in the Championship, and I think the expectation was him to even get even stronger and to carry on from obviously Sol Bamba and fill his boots, but wasn't to be. You know what I mean? They've got Luton next game, and they've got to look at a positive result from there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think it's unusual to see David Marshall make a mistake, fumble the Rolls goal, and the first of a few keeper mistakes that we'll discuss. Yeah. So like I say, we're going to good at home. And there's no gimmies in the Championship. You've got to be at the top of your game.
Prove that with all the things that we spoke about last week, and obviously this weekend. It's been a very entertaining weekend of football, but I think it can only get better and will get better.
Yeah, and I do hope they bring in someone, Harry Arter. Put Harry Arter in that central midfield sit-in would be perfect. Yeah. Just to give him a bit of stability.
And I think it would have given the fans a boost as well. So that's also the downside, because supporters, they've been through the mill a little bit with what happened last year with the relegation and with Salah and things, and so it would have given a little bit of a boost in that, and I'm hoping that that Neil gets a little bit of backing in the transfer market before the window shuts, and can give them just a little bit of a boost for the next game maybe, or however that may be. But I think 3 points in the next game will help confidence for sure.
Yeah, pace. I think they need. Yeah. So next up, we've got Stoke 1, QPR 2. First thing I'd say about this is I thought for the QPR first goal, I don't know what Jack Butland's doing all the way out wide, because the guy's going nowhere. The ball nearly ran out of play. He only just kept it in to cross it. But by Butland going out there, he made it. So if the boy got to the ball before it went out, he had an open goal. Whereas if he stays in his goal there, because it's so wide, he'll keep it in. He'll whip it in because he's got to hit it first time because it's going out. And Butland just takes it.
It's just overconfidence, I think, from the goalkeeper. We spoke about Jack Butland last week, and we said how much of a big player he's going to be, that how he's still in the Championship. But I think he's showing, or he certainly showed on Saturday, that with his mistake, that there's probably a reason why people aren't taking a risk on him, because he's a little bit erratic. You know what I mean? Because he didn't need to do that. He stays on his line there, and he lets the ball. Somebody crosses it in, he just catches it, and he throws it out, and he starts again. He doesn't need to do that. He's good enough to do the right thing all of the time. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to go and try make things harder for himself, or go and try and impress. He impresses by doing the right thing, what a goalkeeper does, and And that's why we got in the England squads. That's how he's got himself the moves he's got, and you know what I mean. He will come back and hopefully come back stronger, because you know what I mean. We spoke about him being one of the best players in the Championship, and but making mistakes like that in 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, he needs to cut that out.
Yeah, it's about consistency, isn't it? Particularly in this league, I think it more than ever. I thought Nick Powell looked tidy in the middle for Stoke. You know, he gives them a bit of creativity, and his dead ball delivery is very good, which is obviously that'll give him some.
Well, obviously, you know what I mean. Yeah, he didn't finish the game. You know what I mean. They had Joe Allen. You know what I mean. He's too fair. I'm so surprised when he was still there. He creates. He makes them tick. He keeps them going. He's such a talented boy, and to be fair, if he doesn't get a move to the Premier League this season, then Stoke have I'll have done a great job by keeping hold of him.
Yeah, him and Nick Powell is perfect, almost like a perfect combination, really, because you know, Joe Allen will just sit and keep the ball moving, and Nick Powell's got that bit of sort of creativity to make something out of nothing. But I thought QPR were very, very good. The boy Easy up front looks good.
The second goal, Easy's goal. It was such. When the goalkeeper, when I heard about this goal and I seen the goalkeeper starting with the ball, I thought, it's going to be a team goal. I guess it was a team goal, but when he got the ball about 35, 40 yards out and started running with it, started being direct, played a 1-2. You know what I mean? His quick feet, composure. If you're scoring goals like that on the first day of the season, then they're going to go into confidence, because he has the pace and the power. You got Jordan Hugill with the aerial threat. You know what I mean? I watched him last season at Middlesbrough, and he looked poor. He looked on Saturday like he'd come back a little bit more hungrier. He looks leaner. He looks like he's sharper. Lost loads of weight, and he's giving himself a chance. And he's, to be fair, he's got to start playing well, because you know what I mean, he's on loan from West Ham, and by the time you know it, you get a little reputation for yourself that you're a journeyman, or you've been on loan so many times. And but he started the season great. He's got himself a goal. All right, granted it was a mistake, but he won't care. He won't care less, because he's got his side 3 points against Stoke, and next Saturday when they play at home, it'll be you could have the roof off with the supporters with another 3 points, because 6 out of 6. You know what I mean? They were one of the teams that I said would struggle. They were the worst team I watched last season, and you know what I mean. To go to Stoke on the first day, fair play to them.
Yeah, I had a guy called Ash Rose. He's does some work for TalkSport, and he does a lot of podcasting, edited of Kick magazine and some of the kids like Shoot and that kids football magazines. He's a QPR fan, and he was very pessimistic about this year. He didn't see where they were going to get players and points from, but I think they've got 1 or 2 really quality looking youngsters. And that was an overall pattern, actually, of the whole the whole program, which I watched the championship on Quest, and there's a lot of young players, which I would rather see them. I'd rather see these academy boys playing in the championship than 35-year-old ex-Premier League players coming down for like their last payday, getting a big wage. You know, I'd like to see these kids coming through. I thought Stoke, they pinched one towards the end. Probably should have had a penalty in the last couple of minutes.
Yes.
But so I thought Stoke are in danger of missing out on promotion again this year if they do not sort themselves out, because they were not great last year. They didn't set the world on fire, but on paper, their squad, Jack Butland's a full England international. Joe Allen has been a Welsh captain. He's played lots of times for Wales. He's played in big high profile games. These are top players, and
you've got Uephobia up front. You Sam Vokes up front, another Welsh international. You know what I mean? It's just you got an influx of players. You James McClenn's. You should be doing a lot better. You know what I mean? I know it's only 1 game, and we can't probably judge until 5-6 games and look at maybe it's 10 games. But You know what I mean? I think the Stoke fans will have been going into their first game of the season with high expectations, and they'll come away a little bit deflated and let down, and a little bit worried about how things are going to go for the rest of the season.
Definitely. QPR only made one mistake, and Stoke punished them with a goal.
Yeah.
Which you do, at the top levels, you get punished. Next up, we had Millwall 1, Preston 0. So finally, I got a result right, because I said Preston were my, my dark horses for relegation.
Yeah.
Straight away, one thing I will say is Matt Smith is an excellent signing for Millwall.
Yeah.
He's a pretty talented technically, but he gives 110%. He's really aggressive, and that's exactly what Neil Harris needs.
About a target man, and he's not just a target man. You know what I mean? He's not just someone who can win the ball in the air. He's tireless. He doesn't stop running. He works hard. He's better with his feet than you probably think. A little bit. He reminds you a little bit like Peter Crouch, but probably he's not as good. That he, you know what I mean? Everyone probably thinks he's just good in the air, but he's neat and tidy on the floor. And he gets his fair share of goals, and I'm sure he will this year. You know what I mean? Obviously, Waller's got the only goal of the game, but Neil Harris will have been absolutely over the moon to get off to a winning start. You know, because it wasn't an easy game. You know what I mean? That I probably don't think that Millwall will do great this season, but I obviously don't think Preston will either. So it was so important for one of those two to get off to a good start, because the games are going to get a lot thicker and a lot tougher in the next 5 or 6 games for those two, and Neil Harris will go into the next game full of confidence.
Yeah, I think Millwall need to make the Den, or the new Den, a hostile, uncomfortable place again for the visitors. Last year, there was players who were causing a few problems, which obviously Harris has spoken out about in the summer.
Yeah.
He didn't, wish them well and all this sort of thing. But they've got some decent players. The two Wallaces, Cameron who's come in, Matt Smith. I don't think they're going to be pushing the playoffs, but I do think they'll stay up.
I think they'll be safe this season, and for Neil Harris, he'll be over the moon with that, because they've always gone probably the last 5 or 6 games and still had a chance to get relegated, and I hope he does. You know what I mean? Ex Cardiff player, ex teammate of mine. You know what I mean? He's done wonders there. You know what I mean? Over the last few years, stabilised the club, and you know what I mean. They're not a very well thought of football club, and they don't get great attendances. And like you say there about making the new Den a fortress. You know what I mean? If that's full, whenever that place is full, it's such a horrible place to go and play football. You know what I mean? So if they can get higher attendances or start doing well, you know what I mean, people will go back in the droves like they used to in the old Den, and the Cockneys will start going back and watching them, and it'll be hostile, and they'll get more results, because, like I say, it's a horrible place to go, and players and fans alike don't like to go there. You know what I mean? Because they know they're not going to get much change, or you know what I mean, when that crowd's behind them under the lights. It's it's not a great, not a nice place to play football.
And like I say, I do feel as if they can do that and make the new a bit of a fortress again. They've got a good chance of being top 10, top 12.
Yeah.
Preston, like I said last week, I do worry for them. I can't see where their goals are coming from, and I can't quite see where they're gonna get that creative spark.
Yeah, I agree with
ideas.
I look at the recruitment, and they haven't really recruited as well as what I think what they'd have wanted. You know what I mean? They're quite similar to last year, and Alex Neil, you know what I mean, who's been ex-Norwich City manager. I think he'd be quite disappointed with the summer, really, because, you know what I mean, he's used to spending quite a lot of money when he was at Norwich manager, and he's always been backed in the transfer market. And I don't believe that Preston probably do have the funds to push on like he's been backed in previous clubs.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Forest 1, West Bromwich Albion 2. Both. I was looking at the start.
Yeah, I think that was one that I was quite pleased with, because I said about West Brom being a strong outfit, and two wide men getting the 2 goals, Kenneth Zaha making his full debut. I you know what I mean. I think they fully deserved the game. You know what I mean. Watched the game on the TV and thought they were very, very good and very, very strong. You know, Nottingham Forest are a good side at home. City Ground's not an easy place to go. You know what I mean. It's Midlands derby as well. You know what I mean. It was a great result, great 3 points because it gets them on the front foot straight away. You know what I mean. They're a Premier League squad on paper. Jake Livermore thought midfield was outstanding. We're on about people who sit. He sat and he just wiped the whole game up. He went from side to side. He very rarely went forward. And I thought he was outstanding. And special mention for the young right back as well. It was Nathan Ferguson. He got man of the match. I thought he was absolutely magnificent. And credit to him to get man of the match and be noticed as well for his performance, because it's very easy sometimes to give it to an experienced player. You know what I mean, to a Jake Livermore, to a Kenneth Sahar, to a Matt Phillips. But you know what I mean, for a young boy to get it, you know what I mean, fair play to him. I'm glad he got it. He deserved it.
Yeah, he was very good. I thought Cash for Forest, his goal was very good. He looks young and quick and hungry. Yeah. And if I was a Forest fan, I wouldn't be too disappointed. You know, I thought for both teams there was a bit of young talent on display who looked very promising. You had, Cash, Kyle Edwards down the left for West Brom was very good. Semedo in the middle, I thought looked really assured and pretty good. Yeah. And like you say, Nathan Ferguson. Forest just got to try and, again, we talk about how important home form is. They need to make the City Ground difficult. You know, they lose too many games there.
Yeah, they need to try and. I think we spoke about them on last week about them being similar to Wolves last year, where they've gone down that route, the transfer market. They've gone Portuguese, they've gone a few Spanish. They've got Sammy Amiobi came on. He's technically very good, but my concern is when a Cardiff City or a West Brom or a Luton Town come and just want to steamroll over you and kick you to death and just work harder than you. You know what I mean? It's then
how they struggle a bit.
When you mixed it up last year with Wolves, they didn't like it. But when you give them time on the ball, they just race past you, and you couldn't get any change out of them. You know what I mean? And that's probably my concern this year with Forest. That if you give them time to play, they'll be excellent. If you get in the face, I think you'll get some results off them.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is, they obviously Forest took the lead, and then their keeper's had an absolute mare where he's let the one shot go under him from I think it was Kyle Edwards, wasn't it? Yeah, was it Kyle Edwards? Yeah. And then there's like a cross which was sort of mishit, and it loops over into the top corner. And the boy keeper, I think it's Maric, he's on loan from Man City. Yeah. He's a very, very he's young keeper. First game, not what you want. And as I said to you off air just before we started, my oldest boy is a goalkeeper, and he played for Tapswell in the Super Cup over the weekend, or Thursday to Sunday. In the first game, Thursday, he made a mistake in the first couple of minutes. It was like a free kick. He should have caught it, and he kind of went through him. And for 10 minutes or so, I just wanted the ball to stay at the other end so he could get his head together. Yeah. Because I knew that he would really frustrated. He was a bit nervous. Yeah. And then, as he got a foot in the game and he had a couple of back passes and got a touch on the ball, he was all right. And he went on and had a really good tournament. But I can only imagine how that young lad's feeling. Debut must have been pretty pumped for it. Yeah. And then made 2 mistakes in the first half, which have, cost him the game.
But I think that's the thing though about opposition players as well, though, because when the first mistake went in, straight away as a player and as a manager and as other supporters, you want to go and get down that end straight away and get another shot away just to test the water with confidence, and you know what I mean, and just keep peppering him, because I know that sounds like a really harsh thing to say, but you know what I mean, you're there to win a football match. You're not there to make friends, and you know what I mean. If that's Peter Shilton in goal in his heyday, or if that's a young boy making his debut, it's so be it. You know what I mean. You just got to do it. But you know what I mean. He's you know what I mean. Goalkeepers, you make a mistake, you give a goal away. Centre forward makes a mistake. You know what I mean. He's got 89 minutes to go and get another goal. It's such a cutthroat industry being a goalkeeper, and putting your body on the line right at the death.
Yeah, and a lot of throughout a 90-minute game, a lot of players give the ball away at least once. Whether it's a misplaced pass or trying something a bit different, it gets cut out. Whereas, like you say, a keeper makes a mistake and it's a goal. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, straight away.
Hopefully, he can bounce back, though, the lad, because he actually later in the game he made a couple of good saves.
The Man City goalkeeper. You know what I mean? You don't
get on the books
if you're not very good. You know what I mean? He'll come back strong. He'll probably go back to Man City as well. Do a couple of days training, or speak to the goalkeeping coach there. Or speak to one of the probably one of the 25 world class goalkeepers who've still got in their books, and get some more confidence from them.
Okay, so next up we got Brentford 0, Birmingham 1. Which of course, what do we say? We said Birmingham were going down.
Birmingham going down. Brentford playoffs. Yeah, that it was disappointed. Just the whole thing for Brentford. You know what I mean? That they've splashed the cash, they've spent money. Obviously, they signed Pontus Jansson. They kept hold of some very good players, and they were just disappointed. It'll come good, I do believe. You know what I mean? And fair play to Birmingham. That obviously they got a new manager in place, Spanish manager. So they've given themselves a platform, especially after having their poor season last season, and to build on. Because you know what I mean, like we said, and I think a lot of people, not just us, have written them off and relegated them already. You know what I mean? So for the players to prove a point, for the new manager to come in and prove a point, and to keep improving. You know what I mean? Because their squad on paper doesn't look great. You know what I mean? So to go to probably one of the playoff favourites, or especially someone in the top 10 favourites, to go away, keep a clean sheet, and to win the game 1-0 is great for them.
Yeah, I think Brentford will have one eye on the transfer window closing to make sure they can hold on to their players. There's like Ollie Watkins and Canos for Brentford. Just look quality players.
Good players.
They run the game, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Well, you've also got your midfielder. You've got 20-year-old De Silva. You know what I mean? Who he's just technically very good. You know, he's obviously had a full season last season in the Championship, and I didn't really notice him. But for 19-year-old last year to play full season in the Championship, you know what I mean? 20-year-old, and he's running games in midfield, and you know, I think that's amazing. You know what I mean? Because how many 20-year-olds are first named on the team sheet, and for you know what I mean, he's probably technically outstanding. You know what I mean? But in the Championship, you've also got to put your foot in and get stuck in, and you play against these kind of players like the Joe Allens who get stuck in. Your Joe Rawls get stuck in. Your Adam Claytons at Middlesbrough get stuck in. You know what I mean? You'll have to mix it as well, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I think him again. We're talking about the young players in the Championship. Him, Ollie Watkins were excellent. They were a little bit unlucky. Brentford, they hit the bar twice in a minute, and then Birmingham went straight up and scored from a header outside the box, which you don't see, a great deal of. And I thought they should
missed a lot of chances. They had up to about 15, 20 shots on target. You know what I mean? So the stats speak themselves. You know what I mean? They had enough chances to win probably 2 or 3 games, but you know what I mean? Like we said, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get the rub of the green, or the game goes against you. And Birmingham kept a clean sheet, and good luck to them, because it might give them confidence now to build on. You've got a home game coming up next weekend, and Brentford are away from home. I think they go to Middlesbrough, and you know, I mean, it's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? It's going to be a very difficult start for them now. They've started with a defeat. Yeah,
and I thought they should have had a penalty as well. It was a bit of a stonewall. It was just wrestled to the floor, in a corner. Yeah, and I do think
the new
there's one thing shirt pulling in there, and then there's another thing where they just not even looking at the ball, and they got their arms around their waist, hugging them. And I just think, come on, you got to give those.
Well, the game on Friday I watched, that's what they said. The new rule about any contact in the box with arms round, it's a penalty. It's a yellow card straight away. And I just think it's got to be done, because it's impeding, it's stopping the play. You know what I mean? If someone's got their arm around you, even if they're not touching you can't go anywhere. It's stopping you doing it. You're going to go to the floor, because somebody's body weight behind you is he's going to bring you down.
Yeah, like I don't mind shirt pulling so much, and as long as it's not too excessive. I want there to be physicality, but it's when the corner's coming from this side and the defender's facing that way with his arms around the waist of the striker or the defender, and it's just.
I just think it's a lazy way of defending as well, Si. I just think, you know what I mean, because it is a lazy way of defending. You know what I mean? You've got to be touched. There's been touch tight and there's grappling. You know what I mean? It's they need to eradicate it from football because referees can see it, especially VAR as well. You know what I mean? I know it's obviously not in the Championship, but it still happens on corners in the Premier League. And if someone stopped doing it straight away in the Champions League, then it will stop it all following divisions down because we don't want to see it.
It feels like the referees are too scared to give it because they feel like once they give one, they got to keep giving it, and you could end up with like 5 or 6 penalties within a game.
But then there's also once they get as well. You think consistency?
Yeah, but
one referee could give it. The next week he could give it against you. The next week it happens for you, but you don't get it, and it's such a shame because it's so frustrating because I can see why managers get so annoyed and with the Neil Warnocks of this world who get very, very, very touchy on the touchline and get very irate because the referees, they're only human, but they're making the different judgment from different referee to different referee, and it's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, and like if it's consistent, teams will stop doing it. But if the penalties, once you get 2 penalties against you in the same game, just stop doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then if the next week they're still being given by the same referees, and it's the same, they'll stop doing it. But whereas like some give it, some don't. Defenders will try it because it stops the defender or the attacker from attacking the ball. Okay, so next up we've got Swansea City 2, Hull 1. I'll leave this one to you.
It's the most disappointing result of the weekend for me. It was when they were getting beat 1-0 quite early after 3 minutes. I thought this is going to be a great day because obviously Cardiff scored pretty early as well. Half time, Hull were winning, Cardiff were winning. I thought this is going to be a great day, and then all of a sudden, in 1 minute, they turned it around, and you know what I mean. Good luck to them, fair play to them, because the second half, especially, they created chance after chance after chance. You know what I mean. They obviously sold the best player in the summer to Man United, and they haven't really brought in a huge number of players. You know what I mean. They've still got the Nathan Dyers. You know what I mean. They've got obviously good attacking players. You know what I mean. Your Roberts, your Connor Roberts. You've got other players creating chances. They scored 2 very good goals, and overall they deserve to win that football match. And you know what I mean. Hull probably scored too early, and I know that probably sounds a stupid thing to say, but they scored after 2 or 3 minutes, and it just give Swansea a chance to get themselves sorted for the rest of the first half, have a good chat at half time, and then came out second half and scored 2 quick fire goals, and then I think it was too hard for Hull to turn things around because obviously we both said last week that they'd struggle as well, and I do believe they will because they haven't really invested in the squad, and they've lost some big name players just by releasing them and letting them go to other Championship clubs.
Yeah. Like Hull, I felt like Hull tried to get, as soon as they scored, they almost tried to like defend their lead straight away and get 11 men behind the ball, and that's very difficult to do for such a long period of time. I feel like they almost went too early into that sort of defensive mode.
I think that's the thing, scoring a goal after 3 minutes, because I don't believe they were probably ready to score. I think that they were just getting themselves set in the game, and you know what I mean. They just probably wanted to keep going, but then all of a sudden they got themselves a goal, and like you said, they sat on the lead, and they were waiting for Swansea to score. And probably the best thing for Hull would have happened if Swansea would have scored straight away, or in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the first half. But Costa went into half time 1-0 ahead. Probably the plan in the second half would have been to sit again, to protect the lead that they had. But then all of a sudden you find yourself 1-0. You find yourself 2-1 down, and then you're facing a different game because your tactics all of a sudden in 4 minutes have just been shot to pieces. And I don't believe I don't believe Grant McCann, he's probably experienced enough as a championship manager to have to be able to get a point across that quickly to change things around for the last 40 minutes of the game.
It's very difficult to go from one extreme to the other as well, isn't it? It's like if you've been defending for a long period of time, to then suddenly change to
have to score,
it's very difficult.
Yeah, they didn't have to score where they were 1-0 ahead. The game, the first half was just petering out because they defended really well. But second half, Swansea came with a different plan, attacked with a different dimension, got the first goal, got the second goal, and then Grant McCann's boys had to go and attack again. And it was it's a big ask then, because Swansea had the upper hand, they're creating chances, they're still attacking themselves, and then they're picking more gaps then because Hull had to leave gaps, and the game should have been probably put to bed 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, one of the things I will say, taking my blue glasses off, is Swansea played some really good football.
Yeah,
and they played the best football I've seen them play for a good few years. They played more like they used to, back sort of 3-4 years ago. Quick, short passing, not too many touches. I felt like, and you do get this with play, when teams don't have much confidence, players take too many touches. Whereas one of the things Swansea was so good at was, movement off the ball and 1-2 touch passing.
Yeah,
when you can do that and move other teams around, it's difficult for them to defend against.
Yeah, when they used to have Leroy Britton in the midfield and they're passing the ball and no one could get anywhere near them, and the Spanish boys in there, going back donkeys now. They've always tried to play the right way, and I think they've they started off on Saturday, did play some really nice football, and and fully deserved the win. And I hope it doesn't continue to win too many games, but they deserved that on Saturday. And, I'll give them that one.
Yeah, you do that. Reading 1, Sheffield Wednesday 3. Kadeem Harris with a great finish.
Goal, great goal.
Well happy for him.
So pleased for Sheffield Wed, because, like we spoke about last week, Steve Bruce debacle that he left them in a massive hole for me, and so to start the season away from home, a tough place to go. I don't think Reading will do that well, but it's still a tough place to go. Obviously go 1-0 up at half time. Later on in the game, they have the goalkeeper sent off, and then to still go and score the third goal with 10 men. Or granted, it was on the break. Fully deserved the win. And I was so pleased for the Sheffield fans. The fans travelled in the thousands. I seen Lee Bullen, the caretaker manager, celebrating at the end of the game, and I just thought it was what dreams are made of. Because he obviously wants the job. He came out after, and he was made up, and he's now very keen to get the job. And if they give him it, great. If they don't, and they go down a different route, I hope he keeps a role in the club, because what the stability he's put in place there for, especially at the weekend, to get them ready for the first championship game of the season, and to go to the Majeski and come away with 3 points was fantastic for them, because I never seen that coming at all, especially with what happened with Steve Bruce and taking all his staff with him.
Yeah, and Lee Bullen's in his I think it's third spell as caretaker manager there.
Yeah, he's been there.
So it'll be interesting to see if he does get the job. The Westwood foul was unbelievable. It's terrible, terrible challenge.
Awful, yeah. And I think if it was outfield play, it probably would have made bigger headlines.
Yeah.
Because
it's high, wouldn't it?
It seems that it's not as bad, or it's badly timed instead of being malicious. If that's an outfield play, it's like it's more vicious than it is if it's not. And just luckily, I'm hoping that there's no serious injuries from it. I don't think there was, so which is quite fortunate, really.
Yeah. So finally, we have the Friday night game, Luton 3, Borough 3, which was the opener for the championship season.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
that? If somebody had offered me a draw before the game had started, I'd have probably snapped your hands off. The way the game went, I thought it was very exciting. I was very impressed with Luton. I thought the way that they played was was fantastic. They got in Middlesbrough's face. They created chance after chance. They test the goalkeeper on. They scored some magnificent goals. You know what I mean? The equaliser, the first equaliser was just outstanding from the centre half to control the ball and then to do a half volley from 25, 30 yards out and they put the ball in the top corner was just outstanding. You know what I mean? It had a penalty miss in it. It had 6 goals. It had a howler from a goalkeeper. It had some great tackles. It had everything for a championship for the season to start off, and I think that showed me that how interesting this championship season is going to be, because if Middlesbrough, who are probably one of the biggest clubs in the championship, are going to Luton, and Luton aren't scared to mix it with them, then Luton can mix it with everybody, and I fully expect them to take a lot of points off a lot of teams if they play like that every week.
Yeah, definitely. I thought, like you say, the Sonny Bradley goal was a screamer. Don't score many of them like that. It's really good, good technique, good everything. And when Asumbalonga took that shot, it was weak, really poor shot.
I don't even know why he took it on, because it
narrow angle,
it was from a really, 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 really poor angle. He was shot with his right foot when he probably should have gone with his left. You know what I mean? So in hindsight, you know what I mean, the ball in the net, he won't care. But it was such a disastrous mistake by the goalkeeper. But also on another note, it was the equaliser for Luton in the end. Collins. All the commentator was saying during the game was, can he do it in the Championship? Is he good enough for this level? He's done it in League Two. He's done it in League One, and I was so pleased that he scored. I was gutted, obviously, with being a Middlesbrough fan, but I've been doubted myself in the past, and it's nice to get one over on people and just shut people up a little bit, and to see his interview at the end. You know what I mean? He was talking about his captain's goal, which rightly so, because it was the goal of the game. But I was so pleased that that he got himself a goal, because you could see the excitement on his face and how proud he was that he's now scored League Two, League One, Championship. You know what I mean? And who knows one day the fairy tale continues and he goes and gets a goal in the Premier League. You just never know, and you can't write these kind of scripts.
No, you can't. And I mean, again, like I think we discussed in one of the other earlier games, how often do you see it? It was the Brentford game where they hit the bar twice and then went up and the other team score. And then Asumbalonga had a penalty to make it 4-2.
Yeah.
Misses.
Yeah.
And I mean, the keeper saved the penalty, didn't he?
Yes. No,
so I mean,
he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he did say it. He saved, didn't he? So like, at least that's a bit of redemption from the mistake for the goal. But I mean, Middlesbrough could have been 4-2 up, and then obviously Luton go and equalise.
Yeah, it should have been game over.
One of those things.
I mean, it was such a. I could see it coming, to be fair. Once he missed it, because straight away give the crowd a buzz. You know what I mean?
It lifts them, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It revitalises you a little bit, and it got everyone going. And especially Kenilworth Road, it's one of them grounds where you can probably hear everything, and you know what I mean. It's such a tight knit ground to the pitch, and it got the players going for the last little push for 5 minutes, and they got the equaliser, and probably fully deserved the equaliser as well.
Yeah, I think they probably did deserve a point. So that's the championship matches. One other story I wanted to touch on was that Sheffield Wednesday have sold Hillsborough to a company, basically as like a short-term solution to, keep the club afloat, which I find quite scary as a football fan of a smallish club, because Sheffield's a massive city. Sheffield Wednesday is a huge club. Yeah. Hopefully their situation is not too dire, and it's more of a financial decision to sort of secure the future and sell the rights and things like this, rather than having to sell it to stay in business, if that makes sense.
I just think it's sad though, isn't it? Because obviously I played for Sheffield United when I was younger. I was on loan there, and you know what I mean, the rivalry in the city is a lovely city. To have two massive football clubs, and obviously the the history of Hillsborough, obviously with the disaster and stuff, there's more what goes with that, and it is such a shame because you see all the money in football, and the Premier League clubs have got all this money, and the football club's struggling a little bit, and has had to sell the ground, and you just hope that the intentions are correct with what's going to happen to it, because you know what I mean. You would hate for a football club to be forced out of the home and have to ground share with somebody else, or to lose their existence because of a business decision. You know what I mean? Because it's not a football decision; it's a business decision, and you know what I mean. We're all football fans, and you know what I mean. Sheffield Wednesday and Hillsborough, especially in my generation, has played. Is probably one of the most famous grounds in England, and always has been. It's always been for me a really nice place to go and play football, and to play at the Cop. You know what I mean? There's two Cops in the world of football for me, and one's at Hillsborough, one's at Liverpool, and you know what I mean. And it'll always be a big part of my heritage and my football, and it'll be such a shame if something bad comes of this.
Yeah, I agree. It's and like there's another ground. Brentford moving into a new ground. Brentford's a lovely old ground, one of the old school grounds which I really like. Luton. Millwall moved into a new ground. It's you know, these old grounds, as we discussed last week, they are going.
But I think clubs can make a lot more money though, Si, because sell it to houses, development sites, make loads of money, buy a ground cheaper than what they can sell it for, and the business decision, because the chairman can get a cheaper land elsewhere on a cheaper plot, and it's as long as a football club can move forward, I don't think it's a bad thing. But if the football club's not going the right way, you know what I mean, it could be disastrous, because I do believe, I look at someone like Brentford and think that football club's on the up, and if it can fill out a 25,000-30,000 seat stadium, then good luck to them and go and do it. But you know what I mean, if I was a Brentford fan, I'd be a little bit disappointed to leave Griffin Park, because you're probably selling it out week in, week out, but you go to a bigger stadium and it's half empty. I wouldn't. It wouldn't probably be a business decision for me, that. But you know what I mean, because with the bigger ground comes bigger costs, and you know what I mean, potentially bigger revenue. But only the revenue comes if you can sell it out.
It's like, then back to like with Hillsborough. Like I say, what's worrying is that if something was to affect the football club from that business decision, that could be, you know, that would be quite sad if like Sheffield Wednesday were to get into trouble or be stopped from playing at Hillsborough for something that's nothing, you know, to do with the team and the fans. Hopefully that's not the case though, and it's more of a securing the future rather than securing, you know, staying afloat.
Yeah, fingers
crossed. So just to finish off, we've got two little segments. We have our 2 for 2 segment, where myself and Andy will pick two players who we think stood out and two players who we think had a nightmare this weekend. So let's start with that. Who you got first, mate, for up?
I've got Eberechi Eze for QPR for his wonder goal, because I just thought it was just absolutely outstanding. You know what I mean? We spoke about how the team goal, but I just thought he was just outstanding, the way that he composed himself and scored the goal of the weekend.
Yeah, I've got Lyle Taylor from Charlton. I thought he looked really like he could make that step up at the Championship with ease, the same way he's done in League 1 and 2. Looks a real handful with pace, power, technique, and I enjoyed watching him. And who's your second?
My second's Nathan Ferguson. You know what I mean, to go into the West Brom first team and pull a performance in like that in a hostile game live on Sky. I thought he was outstanding. He's got the lot for me. You know what I mean, and his potential could be massive. You know what I mean, and I know it's only early and the window's closing, but I think for West Brom they'll be quite happy if the window closes with no interest for this young lad, because he could be going places if they're not careful.
Yeah, and I had him and Kadeem Harris, who I was sort of trying to pick from my Cardiff.
Well, I wanted to go there
towards Kadeem.
I did, because of my blue tinted glasses, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, Kadeem Harris, his talent was never in doubt. He's really, really super quick and skillful. but his final product wasn't quite there. But I was really pretty pleased to see him score, and he had a good performance, and made no mistake, he is rapid.
Yeah, massive.
Okay, and then for the downs, I've got number one, or first one, I've got the Luton Town keeper and record signing, Simone Slugger. He made a mistake from a terrible shot from Asumbalunga, and it really was a schoolboy error. But he did go on to save a penalty later, so maybe I was a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Well, I've got him as well. I thought he had an excellent game. I felt so sorry for him because he pulled off some great saves before the mistake. He went on to have a very good game, but like we spoke about earlier there, that being a goalkeeper, you've got to have a little bit of craziness in you, and he obviously showed that by doing the mistake what he did, because it was such an easy error to not do that. He could have got his body behind it. He probably could have controlled it. He tried to palm it out, and then all of a sudden just pushed it into the far corner. It was such a mistake.
Yeah, and secondly, I've got another keeper. Unfortunately, he's got caught for the 2 goals in the. I haven't written down the game, but it was the Forest keeper, Arrow Muric.
Yes.
He let one squirm underneath him, and he also let the cross, sort of sail into the corner. I do hope he can learn from it. He's young and he's on loan from Man City, so I hope that he can, get himself together for the rest of the season, because he's got to have talent to be on the books with Man City. Yeah, so exactly. And he had a decent game afterwards. So maybe a bit harsh to put him in there, but we said we'd pick, players who had a big moment, whether it's a goal or a solid performance, and those mistakes unfortunately were big moments. And who was your second one?
My second one is British Asumbalunga. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm a big Middlesbrough fan, but he'd already scored a goal. But for me, the penalty miss was a huge moment in that game, because you put your foot through that, and it breaks the net. The game's 4-2. You get yourself 2 goals to start the season. Who knows what might have happened after that? And already your confidence is flying. And to start of a 20-goal season, where now you're probably going into the next game with a little bit of less confidence because you've missed a penalty, you've dropped 2 points. I'm hoping it doesn't, because obviously being a Middlesbrough fan, and he's a nice fella, but he's my second one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think he was certainly on my sort of short list. And then just our final little bit for the first show of the Andy Campbell Championship Show is our Q&A section. I left it a little bit late today, so we've only got a couple. But just to let everyone know, at the end of each show, depending on what we're like for time, if you guys send in questions, whether it's to do with the championship or football generally, and Andy will answer them. For future shows, send in any comments and questions to facebook.com/ACEcastNation or Twitter @ACEcast_nation. If you do it on Twitter, use the hashtag AceNationArmy, just so I can see them. Obviously, if you tag Andy in there, you need to tag the ACEcast Nation as well, just so they don't get lost. So regular contributor Johnny Wishbone asks on Twitter, will Jonathan Woodgate succeed at Borough and in turn either take them back to previous success or move on to a bigger job?
After watching what I watched on Friday, we're going to have an exciting season. We haven't attacked like that I haven't watched an attacking team like that for about 5 or 6 years. It was so refreshing to watch. I think he'll do a great job this year. I don't think there's much pressure on him. We spoke about this, that I think the expectation of the supporters, and even still now, is still grounded a little bit. I think he's obviously very enthusiastic and very ambitious, and wants to. He probably is looking at the Frank Lampards and other big coaches in the world, and will want to be ambitious and move on himself. And I do believe he probably will use it as a stepping stone. But at this minute of time, he's a Middlesbrough manager and is entertaining the public with an attacking array of talent the way he did on Friday night. And I hope that does continue. But I do believe he will be an excellent coach if he's got the right staff behind him, which he looks like he has, and good luck to him, because I think we spoke about this last week, that the young British coaches, you know what I mean, got their different mentality. You know what I mean, Steven Gerrard's and Frank Lampard's and Jonathan Woodgate's, and we need that. We need more of it, and hopefully there's a few more to come.
Yeah, I thought he made a good impression for a first big game, pop game, whatever you want to call it. And like I say, from what I saw of Middlesbrough last year, and from what you've said to me, Middlesbrough were not the most satisfying team to watch. So,
no,
hopefully that's the beginning of perhaps they'll change in philosophy. E1GK from Taftswell asks, I knew who that is. That's my boy. Do goalkeepers get enough credit from the pundits regarding the mental pressure they are under in every game, as well as having to make thousands of split-second decisions during games that have a direct impact on results?
Straight answer, no. Okay, because I don't think players probably get enough credit for the mental strength and the mental toughness and the concentration levels that they have during a game anyway. And for goalkeepers to probably not have anything to do for the first 96 minutes, and then all of a sudden to pull out a worldy save to keep the team in it or to win the game, you know what I mean? People turn around and say it's the job. It's not the job. You know what I mean? It's not just one person's job to defend. It's, you know what I mean? It's a collective outfit. But people have got to give players, especially goalkeepers and probably goalkeepers, centre forwards more so, because they're both in similar things, that they can probably go minutes or quite a long time during a game, long periods, without being involved directly in the game. That I think they should be given a lot more credit. 100%.
Yeah, I agree. And the final one is from Roxy. I think it's a she, but he or she or whoever says they'd asked if Cardiff could sign one player from the lower league, who would you recommend?
Oh, one player from the lower league. I would love Bradley Dack to sign for Cardiff City. I would love it. Yeah, I would love. I think he would be, if they're not planning on playing Tomlin. We spoke about him a lot today. He would be my perfect number 10 to give him an opportunity to play in a. I'm not saying Blackburn aren't a big club, but it would be a progression up for him. And I think he would excel. He would score goals. He would excite the fans. He would certainly give them a massive push towards promotion. Yeah,
I think that's a good shout. That one, it's a tricky question on the fly. That one, isn't it? Actually, I think it's when you think of it. Okay, thank you, Andy, for joining me, and I think it was good fun for the first show, guys. As always, you can find us in the usual places. All our shows are available video format, youtube.com/ACEpodcastNation. Audio, all podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio app, Pocket Casts, pod.co, all them, basically. You can catch us at facebook.com/ACEcastNation, where you can send in feedback, request show subjects, send in questions, ask us to try and get guests on. I can't guarantee that, but I can certainly ask. Recommend shows and stuff. Tell us what we're doing good, what you like, what you don't like. Tell us what you think of the new show. And you can contact us on Twitter at ACEcast_nation. And you can contact Andy on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. Thank you again, Andy, for joining me. I'm Simon. What is, mate? And I'm Simon. He was Andy, and this was the Andy Campbell Show, only on Ace Podcast Nation. Easy for me to say. Cheers, guys, and we'll see you same time next week.